The Intergalactic Martial Arts Academy hung in the black of space like a jewel, orbiting a dying star. Its halls stretched for kilometers, glowing with neon lines and energy fields, echoing with the sounds of strikes, shouts, and alien growls. Thousands of students from hundreds of worlds trained here, each one stronger, faster, or bigger than any human. Kalen Rourke, just 14, felt small as he stepped onto the platform for the first time. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat louder than the last. Everywhere he looked, alien bodies moved with speed and precision that made him dizzy. Tentacle warriors flipped in the air, their multiple limbs striking in patterns Kalen couldn't even follow. Crystalline creatures shattered floating orbs with a single touch. Plasma blades cut through the air with sizzling sound. And in the middle of all this chaos, Kalen's human frame seemed fragile, almost laughable. Some of the students whispered. Some of the older aliens laughed. Kalen felt their eyes on him, eyes filled with disbelief and mockery. "He's a human," one snickered. "Nothing but bones and nerves." Kalen's cheeks burned. He had trained his whole life for this, but it didn't matter. His size, his species, everything about him screamed weak, compared to the monsters around him. He clenched his fists. The metal of his gloves dug into his palms. He remembered his father's words, said before leaving their quiet world to chase a dream: "The universe underestimates humans." Use that. Kalen had never understood fully until this moment. But now, standing in a hall designed for beings who could crush mountains, he understood completely. He would have to outthink them. Outlast them. Outfight them, but not in the way they expected. A bell rang. The training session began. Kalen's first opponent appeared, a hulking DracoWar, its thick scales shining under the artificial light, claws sharp enough to tear through steel. The DracoWar sneered, flexing its arms. Its size alone could knock Kalen across the room, yet it moved with the speed of a panther. The crowd of spectators leaned in, anticipating a quick, humiliating defeat for the human. Kalen's stomach twisted. Fear and excitement collided inside him. He felt his legs tremble, but he forced himself to stand tall. He studied his opponent. Every movement, every twitch of the DracoWar's muscles, told a story. Kalen knew he couldn't match strength, couldn't match raw speed. He had to fight differently. He had to use his brain, not just his fists. The DracoWar lunged. Kalen ducked, rolling to the side. The alien's claws slashed through the air where he had been a moment before. Sparks flew as they clipped the reinforced floor. A cheer went up from some aliens, a mocking roar from others. Kalen felt adrenaline surge. His mind raced. Every trick he had learned, every observation from countless hours watching videos of alien fighters, flashed in his mind. Timing, angles, momentum, he had to exploit them all. He dodged another swing and stepped closer, studying the DracoWar's stance. He noticed the alien's left foot, slightly forward, unbalanced. A small opening. Kalen adjusted his weight, ready to move. But before he could act, a second opponent appeared, a Xylan with glowing eyes and whip-like arms. Kalen froze for a heartbeat. Two opponents. One human. The odds were cruel, ridiculous. The laughter in the stands grew louder. "Human is doomed," someone hissed. Kalen's chest tightened. Panic bubbled, but he swallowed it. Humans had faced worse. Humans had survived planets collapsing, predators larger than buildings, storms that could melt metal. This was no different. His courage ignited, a quiet fire beneath the fear. He would not run. He would not beg. He would fight smart, fight fast, and find a way. The DracoWar lunged again, faster this time, its claws aimed for Kalen's head. Kalen rolled, narrowly avoiding the strike, and felt a spark of hope. He was learning their rhythm. He was alive. He could do this. Every second, every dodge and twist built his confidence. The Xylan circled him, its eyes burning with impatience. Kalen realized he had only moments before it joined the attack fully. Timing was everything. One wrong move could end him. He squared his shoulders and took a deep breath. His small hands flexed in his gloves. "Think, move, survive," he whispered to himself. His mind started calculating. Not brute force but angles. Not speed but momentum. Not intimidation but strategy. He was human, and humans could adapt in ways no alien expected. The bell rang again, signaling the beginning of the actual test. The crowd quieted, sensing something might happen. The aliens around him smirked, confident. Kalen's pulse raced, but he smiled faintly. Fear was a tool, doubt was a tool. They could mock him, laugh at him, even try to crush him, but none of that mattered if he could outthink them. In that instant, Kalen felt a spark of clarity. This was not just a fight. It was a chance to show that humans, fragile, underestimated, small, could still rise above impossible odds. And he would. The DracoWar roared, the Xylan hissed, and Kalen prepared to move. Every eye in the arena was on him. And in the next 13 seconds, everything would change. Kalen's heart thumped like a drum in his chest as he faced the DracoWar and the Xylan. Both towered over him, muscles taut, eyes glinting with confidence and amusement. The arena floor hummed beneath his boots with the energy fields embedded in the platform. Each pulse threatened to throw him off balance if he misstepped. One wrong move and he could be crushed or worse, humiliated in front of the entire galaxy. The DracoWar lunged first, its claws slicing the air with terrifying speed. Kalen ducked instinctively, narrowly avoiding the strike. Sparks erupted where the claws struck the floor. He rolled sideways, keeping low, and measured the alien's rhythm. This was no ordinary fight. Every movement had to be precise. Every second mattered. The Xylan circled him, whip-like arms twitching like snakes, ready to strike from multiple angles. Kalen's stomach twisted. He had never faced two opponents at once. Every fiber of his body screamed to retreat, but retreat meant death, or at least defeat. And humans didn't give up. Humans adapted. Humans survived. He remembered a trick his father had taught him back on their quiet world: don't fight their strength. Fight their weakness. Kalen's eyes flicked between the two aliens. The DracoWar's left foot shifted slightly every time it lunged, exposing a tiny imbalance. The Xylan's whip arms were fast, but their arcs were predictable, repeated every few seconds. He had a split-second window in each attack, and if he timed it right, Kalen shifted his weight and sidestepped again. This time he didn't just dodge, he used the DracoWar's momentum. As the alien's claws slashed past him, Kalen grabbed its forearm, twisting just enough to redirect the swing. The DracoWar stumbled slightly, momentarily off balance. A small victory, but enough to spark hope. The Xylan struck at the same moment, its whip arm lashing for his head. Kalen ducked under it, rolling forward, feeling the energy pulse from the floor beneath him. Sparks danced across the arena where the whip made contact. Kalen's heart raced, but fear transformed into focus. He realized that the aliens were fast, yes, but predictable. Speed alone could be beaten with timing and calculation. He darted to the side, narrowly avoiding another DracoWar swing, and leapt onto the raised platform in the center of the arena. It wasn't high, just a meter off the ground, but it gave him a new angle. From there, he could see the Xylan's repeated patterns clearly. Its strikes followed a rhythm, almost musical. Kalen counted beats in his head. 1, 2, 3, strike. He moved in rhythm with them, sidestepping each lunge as if he were part of the pattern himself. The DracoWar roared and lunged again. Kalen planted his feet firmly, crouched low, and waited. At the exact moment the alien's claw would land, he pivoted, sliding along the magnetic floor, letting the momentum carry the DracoWar past him. The alien stumbled, off balance. Kalen's lips curved into a faint grin. He was alive. He was winning. But the Xylan wasn't done. Its whip arm lashed again, faster now, reacting to his movement. Kalen rolled to the side, narrowly missing the strike, and sprang upward, using the energy pulse beneath him to launch higher. He twisted in midair, and for the first time he struck, not defensively but offensively. His glove connected with the Xylan's chest, a sharp, precise hit that sent the alien reeling. The crowd gasped. Aliens whispered. Humans didn't often survive in these arenas, let alone land a counterattack. Kalen landed lightly, keeping his balance, sweat streaming down his face. His muscles ached, his chest burned, but his mind was clear. He had learned their rhythm, their habits, their weaknesses. It was not brute strength that won fights. It was observation, intelligence, and timing. That was human strength. The DracoWar growled, fury lighting its eyes. Kalen could see its strategy changing. Less predictable now, more desperate. The Xylan snarled, shaking its head. Both attackers were faster, more aggressive, but Kalen's mind raced even faster. He saw patterns forming, openings in their combined attacks. He could exploit them, but he had only seconds before they adapted fully. Kalen crouched, feeling the magnetic pulse beneath his boots. A thought sparked. He could use it, not just to move but to throw his enemies off balance. But timing would have to be perfect. One mistake and he would fall, and this time it might be fatal. He inhaled deeply, steadying his pulse, counting beats, calculating angles. The DracoWar lunged again. The Xylan struck from the opposite side. Kalen moved in a blur, sidestepping both, and kicked off the floor's energy field. Sparks flew as he used the magnetic pulse to spin and redirect their momentum. The DracoWar collided with the Xylan. Both staggered, stunned by the unexpected human maneuver. The crowd erupted into shocked murmurs. Aliens who had laughed seconds ago now stared, eyes wide with disbelief. Kalen landed, chest heaving, muscles trembling from adrenaline. A small smile crept across his face. For the first time he felt the truth of his father's words. Humans were underestimated, but that was their secret advantage. Quick thinking, courage, and determination could topple even the strongest alien fighters. But Kalen knew this was only the beginning. The timer above the arena blinked. 13 seconds to demonstrate mastery. He had survived part of the fight, but the real challenge had yet to come. 2 opponents were down but not defeated. Every second mattered. And the next moves would decide whether a human team could truly shatter expectations, or become just another forgotten failure in the academy. Kalen clenched his fists and squared his shoulders, eyes locked on the DracoWar and Xylan. His pulse raced, fear mingled with determination, and a thought burned in his mind: I will not lose. I am human and humans survive. The bell rang again, signaling the next phase. The crowd leaned forward. Every eye in the arena was on Kalen. And in those 13 seconds, everything would change. Kalen's chest heaved as he stood between the DracoWar and the Xylan. The 2 aliens had recovered quickly, shaking off the shock from the collision. Their eyes glowed brighter, more dangerous now. The DracoWar's claws twitched, ready to strike, and the Xylan's whip-like arms flickered through the air like poisonous snakes. Kalen's pulse raced. He had survived, barely, but survival alone would not win this fight. He needed a plan. He scanned the arena floor. The energy fields under his boots pulsed steadily, designed to help stabilize fighters, but Kalen realized they could do more. If he timed it just right, he could use the magnetic forces to turn his enemy's own momentum against them. A trick no alien would expect a human to try. Humans were weak, yes, but clever, unpredictable, and fast-thinking. Kalen swallowed hard. There was only one chance. The DracoWar lunged. Kalen ducked low, rolling to the side. Sparks shot from the floor where its claws missed him. The Xylan's whip snapped toward him at the same time. Kalen leapt upward, twisting mid-air. He landed on the magnetic panel, feeling it pull and push against his boots in a strange rhythm. Timing was everything. He bent his knees and pushed off at the exact angle that would redirect his attacker's force. The DracoWar barreled past him, overcommitted to its strike. Kalen shifted slightly, letting the magnetic pulse beneath his feet push him forward. The alien's momentum carried it straight toward the Xylan. The 2 collided with a loud crash, stumbling into the arena's edge. The audience gasped, some holding their claws or tentacles to their mouths. Aliens whispered in disbelief. One human, small and fragile, had just used clever thinking to turn 2 monsters against each other. Kalen landed lightly, breathing hard, sweat streaming down his face. His arms ached, his legs burned, but adrenaline sharpened his mind. He had learned something in those few seconds. Observation mattered more than strength. Timing mattered more than brute force. Humans could survive in places no one expected if they used brains instead of brawn. The Xylan regained balance first, its eyes narrowing at him. Its whip arm struck again, faster this time, more carefully. The DracoWar followed, claws aimed to block any movement. Kalen's mind raced. He had only a few seconds to react. If he made a mistake, the fight would be over. But he was ready. He saw the pattern forming. The aliens moved in repetition, overestimating their own speed. Kalen had already calculated their rhythm. He crouched, planting his feet firmly on the magnetic floor. Sparks danced across the panels where his boots connected. He could feel the subtle vibrations, the faint push and pull of the energy field. It was an extension of his body, a tool to manipulate the battlefield. The Xylan struck from the right. Kalen rolled left, then pushed against the pulse, spinning and launching himself toward the center of the platform. The DracoWar lunged, overbalancing as it tried to adjust. Kalen's glove caught its forearm, nudging it slightly, just enough to break its rhythm. The Xylan struck again, whip arm snapping. Kalen pivoted mid-step, letting the alien's own energy carry it forward. The Xylan stumbled into the DracoWar, another collision. The arena erupted with gasps and cheers. Kalen barely had time to catch his breath. He knew the aliens would adapt quickly. One more wrong move and they would corner him. But Kalen was ready to think faster than they could. A flash of inspiration struck him. The magnetic floor could do more than shift momentum. If he timed his next move perfectly, he could create a chain reaction, using the aliens' own attacks to knock them both out of balance at the same time. It was risky. If he mistimed, he would be the one to crash. But humans survived by taking risks, by thinking creatively, by turning weakness into strength. Kalen clenched his fists. The DracoWar lunged again, claws wide. The Xylan struck simultaneously from the other side. Kalen crouched low, feeling the magnetic pulses sync with his heartbeat. He pushed off the floor just as the DracoWar overcommit, spinning mid-air toward the Xylan. Sparks flew as their combined momentum sent both crashing into the arena's wall. The crowd gasped, stunned silence spreading across the stands. Even the instructors paused, their mouths open. Kalen landed, chest heaving, muscles trembling. He had done it. Two of the most feared students in the academy had been unbalanced, not by strength, not by power, but by a human mind. The smallest, weakest creature in the arena had outsmarted giants. And for the first time, the laughter of the spectators faded into awe. Whispers spread across alien races. This human, clever, daring, unstoppable. But Kalen didn't have time to celebrate. He could feel it, the Xylan stirring, shaking off the impact, anger burning in its glowing eyes. The DracoWar regained partial balance, claws flexing. Both were faster now, adapting. He had bought himself moments, not victory. One mistake now would undo everything. His pulse surged. Fear was still there, but it was now tempered with exhilaration. He had survived impossible odds, but the real test was still ahead. Kalen crouched again, heart pounding, eyes locked on the two opponents. Sweat dripped into his eyes, stinging, but he ignored it. He had learned that humans survived not because they were strong, but because they could think, act, and adapt when others could not. The next seconds would decide whether he could take full control or simply survive. A soft beep sounded from the timer above the arena. The final countdown began, 13 seconds to mastery. Kalen's hands tightened into fists and he whispered to himself, I am human. I survive. I win. The aliens roared, lunging once more. The next move would not just be survival, it would be Kalen's chance to turn intelligence into triumph. The arena waited. The galaxy watched. And the human team prepared for the strike that would change everything. The timer above the arena blinked relentlessly. 13 seconds. 13 seconds to prove that a human could defy every expectation. Kalen's chest heaved, sweat stinging his eyes, muscles trembling from exertion. The DracoWar and the Xylan were alive, alert, and faster now. They had learned, adapted. The laughter of the spectators had faded, replaced by tension and disbelief. Every eye in the galaxy seemed to be on him. Kalen crouched, feeling the magnetic pulses beneath his boots as if they were extensions of his own body. He had seconds to act, and his mind raced faster than his heartbeat. He had learned their rhythm, predicted their patterns, and exploited their momentum. Now it was time to finish. Not with brute force, not with luck, but with precision, calculation, and pure human courage. The DracoWar lunged first, claws flashing like molten metal. Kalen pivoted, letting the alien's weight carry it past him. Sparks flew as its claws scratched the reinforced floor. Simultaneously, the Xylan struck with its whip-like arm, aiming for Kalen's head. He ducked low, rolling forward and planting his feet firmly on the magnetic panel. He felt it respond to him, pulling just enough to amplify his next movement. This was it. Kalen leapt. Not straight, but spinning midair, timing his jump with the exact moment the two aliens' momentum would collide. He twisted, angled, and pushed off the pulse beneath his boots. The DracoWar's own weight carried it into the Xylan, and Kalen's glove struck the Xylan's chest on the same instant. Sparks and energy arcs filled the arena, the shockwave rattling the platforms. The two aliens stumbled, off balance, unable to recover. The audience gasped. Silence fell over the stands. Kalen landed lightly, barely bending his knees. His pulse screamed in his ears, adrenaline surging, but his mind was clear. He had done what no one expected. Two of the fiercest fighters in the academy, brought to a momentary halt by a single human teen. The whispers started. Humans could not fight, humans could not survive, humans could never master the arena of stars. And yet here he stood, victorious in principle if not yet in title. The DracoWar roared, claws slashing wildly as it tried to regain balance. The Xylan hissed, whip arms snapping with fury. Both creatures advanced again, faster, smarter, angrier. Kalen crouched, breathing in through his nose, out through his mouth, calculating the final move. 13 seconds. Every second counted. His small frame and human fragility were irrelevant. Timing, ingenuity, and courage were all he needed. He remembered the Academy's purpose. This was not just a test of strength, but of mastery. The human body could be weak, but the human mind was relentless. Kalen's hands flexed. He had one chance to end this in style that no alien would ever forget. He would not just survive, he would triumph. The DracoWar lunged with all its weight behind it. Kalen sidestepped just barely. Sparks flew as its claws shredded the floor behind him. The Xylan followed, whip snapping low to the ground. Kalen crouched, planting his boots on the magnetic pulse panel, feeling it vibrate and respond. He twisted his body, letting the floor amplify his spin, and launched upward. The motion was precise, perfect, and impossibly fast. His fist connected with the Xylan's chest at the exact moment that the DracoWar stumbled into it. Both aliens collided with each other, staggering, tumbling toward the arena's edge. The sound of their impact reverberated through the hall. Kalen landed on the balls of his feet, perfectly balanced, arms ready, chest pounding. The timer hit 13 seconds. For a heartbeat, the arena was silent. Then the energy fields flickered, the lights blazed, and the Grandmaster stepped onto the platform. His eyes were wide with disbelief. "Human?" "Kalen Rourke," he said slowly, voice carrying through the hall. "Black belt. Achieved in 13 seconds. Unprecedented." The crowd erupted. Some cheered in shock, others stared, mouths agape. Aliens whispered among themselves, astonished. They had mocked him, laughed at him, dismissed him. And yet, here he was, the human who had outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and outlasted two of the fiercest fighters in the Academy. A single teen had rewritten what everyone thought possible. Kalen's knees shook as he stepped forward. His gloves were scorched from the energy sparks, his uniform torn in places, but his eyes shone. He looked at the two defeated aliens. They were breathing heavily but alive. Kalen extended a hand to help the Xylan back to its feet. The gesture was small, human, but it carried a weight. Humans were not just cunning fighters, they were moral, fair, courageous. The Grandmaster's voice echoed again. "You have shown what humanity can do. You have no equal in ingenuity and courage. Take your place among the masters." Kalen's lips curved into a smile, but inside he felt something deeper than pride. Respect. Recognition. Proof that humans, underestimated and mocked, could rise to any challenge. He looked out over the audience. Some faces were wide-eyed with shock, others burned with envy, but Kalen noticed the quiet admiration in a few alien eyes. They had doubted him. They had assumed weakness. And now they had witnessed human brilliance. Kalen's father's words echoed in his mind. The universe underestimates humans. Use that. 13 seconds had been all it took for Kalen to turn mockery into legend. Every doubt, every insult, every fear he had faced melted away into clarity. Humans survived, humans adapted, humans conquered. Not because they were the strongest, but because they were brave enough to defy odds no one else would dare challenge. The arena pulsed with energy as Kalen stepped forward to receive the black belt. Sweat dripped down his face, muscles still trembling, but a quiet fire burned inside him. He had not only survived, he had proven the power of the human mind and heart. In the galaxy, whispers would spread. Stories would be told. Legends would remember the teen who outwitted giants in 13 seconds. And Kalen knew one thing with certainty. This was only the beginning. The arena was quiet now, but the energy in the air was electric. Aliens and humans alike turned to watch Kalen step onto the central dais. His uniform was scorched, torn, and soaked in sweat, but his black belt gleamed under the arena lights, a symbol not just of skill but of courage, intelligence, and human determination. He had faced the impossible and emerged victorious in 13 seconds, rewriting every expectation of what a human could do. Kalen looked down at the two opponents he had bested. The DracoWar and Xylan were breathing heavily, bruised and stunned, but alive. He extended a hand to the Xylan, and the alien hesitated before taking it. Then, with a flick of its whip arm, it regained balance, bowing slightly in respect. Kalen offered the same to the DracoWar, who flexed its claws but nodded, a silent acknowledgement. Even in victory, Kalen remembered the lessons his father had taught him. Humans fought not just to win but to respect life, even in enemies. The Grandmaster stepped forward, robes flowing in the artificial wind of the arena. His eyes were wide, reflecting disbelief and awe. "Human?" "Kalen Rourke," he said slowly, voice carrying through the hall. "Black belt. Achieved in 13 seconds. Unprecedented. You have shown courage, intelligence, and heart beyond measure. You are a master." Kalen felt a surge of pride but also humility. He had trained for this moment his entire life, but the real victory was more than a belt. It was proving that humans, small and underestimated, could overcome giants with brains, courage, and determination. The arena, once filled with laughter at his expense, now pulsed with awe. Aliens whispered among themselves. Humans could adapt, survive, and thrive against odds that seemed impossible. He turned to the spectators. Some faces were wide-eyed with shock. Others burned with envy. A few, however, nodded quietly in admiration. They had doubted him, laughed at him, mocked his species, and now they witnessed firsthand the heart of a human, fearless, clever, unbroken. Kalen's chest swelled not with pride, but with a quiet satisfaction. Respect had been earned, not demanded. From the stands, Kalen spotted a few younger humans, eyes wide with amazement. They had come hoping to see a human fail, expecting disappointment. Instead, they saw possibility. They saw courage in action. Kalen raised his hand slightly, a small wave, and in that moment he felt the weight of inspiration. Humans could fight, survive, and shine. Perhaps even thrive where no one thought they could. Later, in the quiet of the training hall after the crowds had dispersed, Kalen walked alone, black belt tied firmly around his waist. The magnetic panels hummed faintly under his boots. He touched the floor lightly, remembering how he had used it to turn the tide of battle. Every spark, every movement, every calculation had mattered. Every fear he had felt, every moment of doubt, had been transformed into strategy and action. Humans could not match aliens in raw power, but intelligence, courage, and adaptability were weapons far stronger than brute force. Kalen thought of his father's words again. The universe underestimates humans. Use that. He smiled faintly, understanding them fully now. In 13 seconds he had turned mockery into legend. And the lesson would echo across the galaxy. The whispers would grow louder, stories would spread, and human potential would no longer be underestimated. The academy instructors approached, bowing slightly. "You have changed the rules of the arena," one said. "No human has ever achieved what you did. Others will study your movements, your timing, your strategy. You have redefined mastery." Kalen nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. Humans were small, fragile, and often overlooked, but they could be cunning, brave, and unstoppable when they chose to rise. He looked out at the city of floating arenas, lights blinking in the distance. The galaxy beyond stretched endlessly, filled with worlds and species that doubted humans at every turn. Kalen clenched his fists lightly. One day humans would not just survive, they would lead, inspire, and leave a mark that no alien could ignore. Today it began with him, a teenager in 13 seconds. Tomorrow it could be entire worlds. Kalen returned to his quarters that night, exhausted but awake with clarity. He removed the gloves, peeled off the torn uniform, and stared at his reflection. The same human face stared back at him, small, unremarkable, yet filled with fire. The fire that refused to bow, that refused to accept limits imposed by others. The fire that could move mountains, topple giants, and outthink even the most fearsome aliens. He lay down on his cot, thinking of the future. Other humans would hear his story, learn from it, and rise. Aliens would whisper his name in shock and respect. Kalen realized that his victory was more than personal. It was a spark, a symbol, a reminder to the galaxy that humans were more than flesh and bone. Humans were courage, ingenuity, and heart. As sleep crept in, Kalen's mind replayed the fight. Every movement, every calculation, every gamble he had taken, it had worked. He had faced impossible odds and survived. He had been mocked, laughed at, dismissed, and yet he had triumphed. A human against the galaxy's finest had emerged victorious in 13 seconds. And somewhere, far beyond the academy, across planets and stars, that victory would inspire others to believe in the impossible. Kalen drifted to sleep with a quiet smile. The arena, the aliens, the whispers of the galaxy, all of it faded, but one truth remained: humans were underestimated, but humans endured. Humans adapted. Humans triumphed. And now, Kalen had proven it to the universe. The galaxy would never forget the day a human teen shattered expectations.